There's a particular kind of strength that goes unnoticed because it doesn't announce itself. The strength of being dependable, composed, and capable without needing recognition. You show up, you handle what needs to be handled, and you keep things moving. Not loudly, not dramatically, just consistently. Over time, that steadiness stops being seen as strength at all. It becomes expected. You're no longer noticed for what you carry, only relied on for what you can absorb. Strength becomes invisible when it's expressed through endurance rather than display. The more reliably you hold things together, the less urgency others feel to check in, offer support, or acknowledge the effort involved. What began as resilience slowly turns into an unspoken expectation. This creates a quiet pressure. You're seen as capable enough not to need help, but still responsible enough to keep showing up. If you struggle, it surprises people. If you speak up, it feels like a disruption. The role you've been assigned doesn't leave much room for fluctuation, only continuation. And because the strength doesn't demand attention, it often gets mistaken for ease. Others assume you're fine simply because you haven't signaled otherwise, even when the weight you're carrying has grown heavier over time. Think of that person everyone turns to when something goes wrong. The one who stays calm during conflict, fills in the gaps, and quietly makes sure things don't fall apart. When stress arises, they're the steady presence in the room, the one others lean on because they trust they'll handle it. But notice what rarely happens next. No one asks how they're holding up. No one pauses to consider what that steadiness costs. Their reliability has become part of the environment, like background support that's only noticed when it's missing. Over time, they learn that strength earns dependence, not care. The more consistently they show up, the less visible their effort becomes. Not because it isn't real, but because it no longer disrupts anything. The shift comes when you recognize that invisibility isn't a failure of your strength. It's a consequence of how quietly you've carried it. Endurance that doesn't ask for recognition often gets absorbed into the background, not because it lacks value, but because it doesn't interrupt the flow of things. This reframing matters. It separates your worth from how visible your effort is to others. Strength doesn't become less real because it goes unacknowledged, but it does become easier for systems and people to overlook when it's consistently offered without boundaries. Seeing this clearly allows you to stop interpreting the absence of recognition as personal neglect. Instead, it becomes information about how your strength is being used and whether it's being respected or simply relied upon without regard of its cost. When your strength has become invisible, the instinct is often to either withdraw completely or to finally demand recognition. But there's a quieter, more sustainable adjustment available, one that doesn't require confrontation or collapse. Start by becoming more selective with what you absorb. Not every gap needs to be filled, and not every problem requires your steadiness. Allowing small moments of non intervention creates space for others to notice both the work being done and the weight behind it. This isn't neglect, it's recalibration. You can also begin to name limits without dramatizing them. Simple clarity. I don't have the capacity for that right now. Preserves dignity while resetting expectations. Strength doesn't have to be withdrawn to be protected. Sometimes it just needs structure. Modern systems tend to reward visible effort over sustained endurance. Confidence that announces itself is easier to recognize than resilience that operates quietly in the background. As a result, many environments unintentionally favor performance over presence and urgency over steadiness. This is why invisible strength is so common and so costly. When care, labor, or emotional regulation is consistently absorbed by the same people, it becomes structurally overlooked. The system continues functioning, but at the expense of those who carry it without recognition. Understanding this pattern shifts the focus away from individual blame and towards social design. It asks not who is strong, but how strength is distributed, acknowledged, and supported, and what happens when it isn't. When strength becomes invisible, it doesn't mean you've done something wrong. It means you've been reliable in a way the world has learned to lean on without pause. Awareness gives you the ability to protect that strength without abandoning it, and to choose where it's truly valued. If this resonates, we explore these dynamics further across our work on navigating modern social spaces with clarity and dignity.